Our laws make provision for 3 methods of choosing candidates by political parties for elections: direct, indirect, and consensus methods. But most political parties are clamoring for consensus arrangement in the race for the 2023 presidential election. The move for a consensus candidate among the northern presidential aspirants in the People's Democratic Party has hit the rocks. Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar have rejected the arrangement brokered by the supervision of former military president General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. This was after reports that former President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, and Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State were announced as joint consensus aspirants of the party. Jide, what is this?
Something, usually when you have this kind of arrangement, it's not meant to produce a number of persons. So for people like Tambuwal, they found it strange. They thought the consensus arrangement will yield one person. But now they are saying IBB and a few Northern leaders, not necessarily the Northern Elders Forum, because the Northern Elders Forum has come out to say no,
we're not part of this.
We are not part of this. A few Northern elders could come together. That's not the first time. Remember the committee headed by, I think, Adamuchi Roma back then. I think it was before the 2011 election. They came up at that time. They chose, I think it was Atiku that they supported at that time. So it is similar to what has happened. What I thought the PDP wanted to do was, yes, we have a long list. Let's encourage the pruning down of this long list through consensus. Let the aspirants agree amongst themselves that, okay, this is a long list. Let's bring it down by any way we can. The party is reluctant to go into the primaries with as many as 18 of them that are in the race now. So, because that will be too unwieldy and difficult to manage, so they said they wanted to prune down the figure. But there are different ways of pruning down this figure. There could be shadow elections at the level of the caucuses. If that is what you've opted for, then it has to be clear to everyone that is the thing. But people like Tambuwal do not understand why they discuss consensus. They felt that it should lead to the emergence of one person, and then they are told that 2 persons have now come out. And of course, with Tambuwal appearing to have been shot out, he does not like the idea. So he said, no, that's not what we agreed.
Chikebi, so ultimately, a lot of Nigerians are waiting for who is going to become the candidate of these 2 major political parties, APC and the People's Democratic Party, because we might likely to have the next president from those 2 major parties. So the process might be quite competitive and rancorous.
Well, you have to understand that if you are playing for good teams, chances are one of you will lift the trophy at the end of the season. Well, it doesn't really mean that you cannot try your luck elsewhere. I think what really happened there was that the work consensus was being thrown around so much. Well, what they are trying to do is basically to cut down the number of aspirants to a manageable size. They are not asking them to make input. Some people like Babangida will probably sit down. After all said and done, they could not go beyond these 2 people. Maybe among their rank, some people said they wanted Saraki, some wanted Bala Mohammed.
They had 10 points.
And they got to the point that they said, let's throw both of them into the ring. Let the best man win. And that, of course, leaves a window for people like Tambuwal and Atiku to go against the system they had originally signed for. Because they must have agreed to this before they go into the thing.
It was reported that they were part of the meeting.
So
That they saw nothing wrong in
a consensus person. Because if they had done that, if one person had demarched, this would have been just noise making from people who lost out. But now PDP has created a window for them to genuinely claim that this does not reflect what they agreed to do. And that to me is the danger.
But this one is not PDP's decision.
It's not that.
Just some elders.
Just the northern,
yes.
also within
I just know that even northern aspirants,
we seem to
they are
have
not the
turned,
PDP aspirants.
as in
just the northern elements.
The dictionary meaning of consensus, we seem to have, in Nigeria, it's beginning to turn to something else.
No, consensus is not democratic. It's not democracy. When a group of people will then take the decision for everyone
And force everybody
and
to
then call it consensus. It's not consensus. I mean, it's ridiculous to hear people talk about consensus when this was just sharing of spoils amongst governors. There were more than 70 positions on offer during the APC convention, and governors shared these positions among themselves. The only thing they considered was the chairmanship to the president. After a lot of haggling and haggling, they didn't simply lay down and say, Mr. President, take the... No. They resisted. Ultimately, they allowed him to take that. They now shared the other positions among themselves. The governor will be told that, okay, you are the one to bring the woman leader. So whether that woman leader has not been in the party for long or not, it doesn't matter. They have given him the mandate to go and produce it. So he goes and produces that person. Another one is told, okay, for the Southwest, you are the one to bring you are the governor to bring the woman leader. The governor then goes, picks a woman, and then another governor is told, you are the one to bring the youth leader. The Southwest youth leader. He goes to bring someone. No other governor will contest that because they had agreed among themselves to zone that position to that particular governor. This was what happened in the APC. So all of the shedding of tears that you saw, the extent of the pain that people feel that, look, this is not democracy now. And there's no way you can tell me that the choice should always be made by the people, not the leaders of the people. I mean, when the choice is made by the leaders, in this case the governors, and the people are effectively shut out of the decision making, it is not democracy. There is no way by which anyone can convince me that it is democracy. When people campaign for more than, let's say, even years, spent hefty sums of money,
traveled all over the country,
travel around the country, risk their lives, and continue to high the price. And then some governors sat together with the president, and then they told the president, okay, you can bring the national chairman. We will allow you. And the president said, okay, for honoring me, it's just this one that I need. The rest, go and decide amongst yourself. So whether the president even has candidates, as we later saw, some of the people who are legendary friends of the president, they lost out because the governors were still smarting from being made to concede the chairmanship, and they were not going to concede any other position.
And they carried it over to neck.
So that is the thing. That's the thing. It's not democracy. It's not. How do you, going by the definition of democracy, how do you tell me that deciding for me
is good for me
and force-feeding me the decision that you have taken is democracy? I mean, it will question my education if I were to be convinced that that is democracy. It's not democracy. If it is consensus, it has to be seen to have been arrived at by unanimity. The unanimity should not be in doubt.
That's the key word.
Nobody must dissent.
But in our kind of consensus, it is far away from unanimity. And that's why the consensus that people are banding about is just a case of powerful governors and people just forcing their decisions, forcing their choices, on the people. And thank God the president said it the other day that don't impose candidates.
Unpopular.
Yes, and I hope the president can walk the talk on the issue of the national chairman. I mean the presidential candidate. The president should walk the talk since he has spoken to his party men that don't impose and don't frustrate strong candidates out of the race. The president should let the choice of the people prevail in the presidential primaries.
Lead by example. Yeah.
Yes, because you have told them to do that. Now you have to lead from the front, even in achieving that. Let's have the person that the overwhelming majority of our people want. Let that person be the person that emerges.
Okay.
Not consensus.
I have Case Andrew from Owerri. Thank you for joining us, Case Andrew.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
BKB.
Andrew.
Sir, Case Andrew, I'm calling you from Owerri. I want to speak on the unfortunate incident that happened in my state at my local government.
Okay.
You see, in as much as I'm not going to justify this illegality, but like the gentleman has actually said, governments must learn to take full responsibility. Sir, there is no how. We live in this state, and we have river states, all these close by states. There is no how governments will claim ignorance, both at the federal and the state, even armed forces in this state. There is no way the civil defense, the military, they can claim ignorance that they are not aware. Like you rightly said, these people do not have to do these things. And look at, we've lost, this is the last count, 110. We are not even sure. Look at the houses, look at the place. And unfortunately, not at this moment, our governor has not visited that site. But I want to say, can our government start doing something? See, you have not created jobs. I'm not saying we should embark on this kind of job creation, but can we actually look at these young people? We have an issue of refining oil in this country, crude. Can we actually look at these modular refineries, these illegal refineries, and legalize them? So we can actually do this thing in this country, because I think out of fear, not using the right equipment might still be the cause of this. Elementary chemistry has actually taught us refining crude is as easy as even it is easier than doing a fibroid operation. It is simple distillation and firing, heating up. Can we actually learn how to even bring these people? We know where they are. Nobody can even claim ignorance in River State, in this oil producing state. Can we actually start up a conversation? Young men and women, please do not do this in example for you, but let us help you.
Thank you for your contribution.
He's very passionate about it.
Yes. So when we are looking at this, they still have the issue of zoning to grapple with.
Yeah. Well, I coined the word in 2003 when the governors moved against Obasanjo's second term. I call it gubernatorial. Government by the governors, for the governors, for the favor of the governors. And almost 20 years later, the thing has gotten worse. Because it seems that governors, past and present, see themselves as a special bridge above the rest of us. And so therefore, they arrogate to themselves the power to decide for us things that they think are good for us. And that's what happened during the convention that Jide was talking about. Because you can see some people who are physically distressed because they know what they've put into it to become national officers. And they are not even allowed to give a speech. They are not allowed their 5 minutes of fame. Some know they will lose. But I keep referring to the original convention that brought in Obasanjo in 1999. Despite the backroom dealings, they ensured that the voting was transparent. So that even if you want to complain,
That one that Tommy Kimi
that one, Obasanjo. That's all is required. Background, we know that people have made suggestions, taking care of delegates and all that whatnot. But give them the ability. That 5 minutes, people travel from Yobe, from Lagos, from Rivers to Abuja, just to cast votes. That's their 1 minute to shine. And you took away that from them and want them to remain loyal. I think we need to do something about our democracy and stop these shenanigans called consensus.
Now, ultimately, this might even affect the unity within the party, cohesion within the party, and this political party, they might go into instability before the general election. If we continue
I think it's not by force to do consensus. if it is clear that majority of the people want, the contestants themselves, the aspirants want an open election, so give it to them. If that's what they want. Because we've had people like the governor of Rivers saying that even over his dead body will he agree to consensus. Because people appear to see consensus as just a tool by which people are discouraged from contesting against people that they can even defeat. So people fancy their chances. Once you talk to them about consensus, they will start thinking, oh, you want to use this to put your own favored person there. So the people would rather have a contest. So let the party forget about the idea of consensus and let the people go and slug it out. That way, whoever wins will be the candidate that everyone will have hand his victory. Not to get victory through the back door because some governors love you and all that. No. What if the people don't like the choice of those governors? Have we not seen that before? So that you are the leader of the people does not mean that you should always decide for the people. Let the people. Democracy is derives its power from the people. So let the people exercise their franchise. It's clear now that I've even had Peter Obi himself saying that he does not want consensus. So who now wants consensus among these governors in the PDP? Who wants consensus now? Because it appears that there is so much distrust. There's so much distrust.
That's
so
the
they are not prepared to yield ground to one another. You can't tell Wike to accept consensus. You can't tell Tambuwal to accept consensus. So how many people do you now want to convince? So if that's the case, let them go and contest. The world will see the true winner in the final analysis. So, and I'm sure even for we are talking about PDP now, I'm sure if it were to be the case in the APC, is the same pushback that consensus will get. Some people will not agree to anything like consensus. They want the election to take place. They want to test their strength on the electoral battlefield. So be it. Let them go and slug it out. Stop trying to bring consensus agreement that people will not agree to.